Rain splattered across the marble steps of the New York County Supreme Court. Cameras flashed, reporters shouted, and the cold wind cut through the gray morning like glass. Inside, beneath the vaulted ceiling, Lily Carter stood quietly, 7 months pregnant, trembling, clutching a folder of court documents that felt heavier than her heart. Her husband, Austin Hale, walked past her without a glance. His navy suit was perfect. His Rolex gleamed under the fluorescent lights. Beside him, Brooke Sinclair, the woman Lily once thought was a friend, leaned close, whispering something that made him smirk. The scent of Brooke's Dior perfume drifted past Lily, sharp, invasive, unforgettable. A few steps behind, Tessa Carter, Lily's older sister, approached in a crisp beige coat, holding her iPhone like it was a weapon. Her eyes, once full of sisterly warmth, now burned with contempt. "You shouldn't have come here, Lily," she muttered. "You're embarrassing the family." Lily's breath hitched. The family? Or your investment in his company? Tessa's face hardened. The hallway fell silent as the bailiff opened the courtroom doors. Just as Lily turned to enter, Brooke stepped forward and whispered, "He never wanted your baby." Then, out of nowhere, a sharp crack. Brooke's hand struck Lily's cheek. The sound echoed through the marble hall. Gasps filled the air. Before Lily could react, Tessa, her own sister, slapped her too. The impact sent her staggering, clutching her belly as a flash of pain rippled through her side. Reporters froze. A clerk dropped her coffee. The security officer reached for his radio. For one suspended moment, the world stopped breathing. Then, from inside the courtroom, a deep voice thundered, "Stop this madness." A tall man in a black robe strode out from the chamber. His gavel fell to the floor with a clatter. His face, pale and stricken, turned toward Lily, eyes wide with disbelief, lips trembling as if recognizing a ghost from another life. Everyone watched as he took a step forward, then another. The judge's voice broke the silence, raw and shaking. "Don't touch her again. That's my daughter." The hallway erupted, cameras flashing, people shouting, officers rushing in. Lily stood frozen, hand on her cheek, staring at the man who had just shattered 30 years of secrecy in front of the world. Austin's smirk vanished. Brooke stumbled backward. And Tessa? Her phone slipped from her hand, screen cracking against the marble. The chaos around them blurred, but Lily could hear only one thing, the echo of that sentence that changed everything. "That's my daughter." The slap was just the beginning. The truth waiting behind that door would destroy reputations, break alliances, and expose a past buried in silence. The night before the court hearing, Manhattan glowed like a river of light. From her small apartment overlooking Central Park, Lily Carter stared at the city she once loved. The skyline used to mean ambition, opportunity, everything she worked for. Tonight, it felt like judgment, cold, sharp, and distant. On the coffee table, papers were scattered, divorce filings, medical reports, photos from happier years. Her wedding picture sat half buried under the stack. Austin's smile in that photo looked real once. Now it was just another lie frozen in ink. Lily traced the edge of the frame with shaking fingers. Her belly tightened. The baby kicked as if reminding her to stay strong. Across the room, her MacBook Pro glowed. A message notification blinked. It was from Austin Hale. "Let's keep tomorrow civilized. Don't make a scene. You'll only embarrass yourself." Her pulse raced. She typed, then deleted, then typed again. "I'll speak when the judge asks. Nothing more, nothing less." She hit send, then pushed the laptop away. The room felt too quiet. She poured herself a glass of water, staring at her reflection in the window. Pale face, swollen eyes, the faint shadow of someone she'd barely recognized. Her phone buzzed again, this time from Tessa, her sister. "He told me you're trying to take everything from him. Don't do this, Lily. You'll regret it." Lily wanted to scream, to remind Tessa how many nights she'd cried in her apartment after finding lipstick on Austin's collar, how many times she'd begged her sister to believe her. But all she wrote was, "You already chose your side." The phone went silent. Outside, thunder rolled over the park. She turned off the lights and curled up on the couch, clutching her belly. A knock startled her. When she opened the door, Marcus Reed stood there, an old college friend, now a rising Wall Street name. His suit was damp from the rain, his tie loosened, eyes full of quiet concern. "Sorry it's late," he said softly. "I heard about tomorrow. You shouldn't be alone tonight." Lily hesitated, then stepped aside. The smell of rain and coffee followed him in. "I can't sleep," she admitted. Every time I close my eyes, I see his face. And hers. Marcus looked around. Photos, legal folders, chaos. He picked up one paper, scanning the fake contract Austin had signed in her name. He forged this, Marcus said. It's not just betrayal, it's fraud. She sank onto the couch. No one believes me, not even my own sister. He crouched in front of her, eyes steady. I do, and I'm not going to let him destroy you. Lily felt tears sting her eyes. She hadn't cried in weeks. She was too tired for that. Why are you helping me? She asked. Marcus gave a small, sad smile. Because once, before all of this, I was stupid enough to let you marry the wrong man. The room fell silent. The city's hum filled the space between them. Marcus reached into his coat pocket and handed her a small Mont Blanc pen. Take this, he said. Record everything tomorrow. Words are power in that courtroom. Lily nodded, gripping the pen like a lifeline. When he left, she sat in the dim light, whispering to her unborn child. Tomorrow, we fight. She placed the pen beside her legal folder, next to a photo of her mother, the only person who had ever told her she was strong. Lightning flashed, and for a brief moment, Lily saw both her reflection and her mother's face overlapping in the glass. Somewhere deep down, she felt something shift. Not fear, not anger, but resolve. By sunrise, she would no longer be the woman who begged. She would be the woman who stood. The next morning, New York's sky was a pale gray, neither day nor night, the color of hesitation. Lily Carter stood in front of her bathroom mirror, buttoning the same navy dress she wore for job interviews years ago. It barely fit over her 7-month belly. She brushed her hair slowly, then stopped, staring at herself. Her eyes looked older, sharper. There was no trace of the soft, forgiving woman Austin once manipulated. On the counter sat a half-empty bottle of Dior foundation, a tube of lipstick, and the Mont Blanc pen Marcus had given her last night. The pen felt heavy in her hand, real, grounding. She clipped it to her folder, zipped up her bag, and whispered to her reflection, "You're stronger than you think." Downstairs, Marcus waited beside a black Mercedes S-Class, engine purring like a low growl. He wore sunglasses, the kind that made him look untouchable, but his eyes softened when he saw her. "Ready?" he asked. "No," she said honestly, "but I'll go anyway." As the car glided down Park Avenue, Lily's phone buzzed again. This time it was a private number. She hesitated, then answered. "Lily," a man's voice said. "You don't know me. My name's Alan Thompson. You'll hear it soon. But before that, stay calm today. Whatever happens, don't run." She froze. "Who are you? Why are you calling me?" But the line went dead. Her chest tightened. The name stuck in her mind, Alan Thompson. It was familiar somehow, like a name she had read once long ago. She shook the thought away. Probably just a prank. The car stopped at the Plaza Hotel. Marcus turned to her. "Before we go in, there's something you need to see." He pulled out his iPad, showing her a document Austin's company had submitted to investors. Her name was on it, Lily Carter, co-signer. She frowned. "I never signed that." Marcus nodded. "He forged it. Brooke was listed as a witness. If we can prove that, he's finished." Her heart pounded. "You think Brooke knew?" "She didn't just know," Marcus said. "She sent the file from her work email. I traced the metadata." Lily gripped the edge of the seat. For the first time in weeks, anger burned hotter than fear. "Then I'm not walking into court as a victim today." Marcus smiled faintly. "That's the Lily I remember." Inside the hotel lobby, polished marble floors reflected golden light. And there they were, Austin and Brooke, seated at the bar like a couple on vacation, laughing over espresso. Austin turned, his smirk returning the moment he saw Lily. "You look tired," he said flatly. "Maybe you should have stayed home." Lily ignored him. "You'll need to explain the signature in court." She slid a printed page across the counter. Brooke's hand trembled. "You shouldn't be snooping through our business." "Our business?" Lily repeated. "You mean my name on your fraud?" Austin leaned closer, voice low. "Careful, Lily. Accusations like that can ruin people." Lily met his eyes without blinking. "Good. I'm done protecting yours." Brooke grabbed her wrist, nails digging into skin. Marcus stepped between them instantly. The bartender called for security, but Austin raised his hand. "It's fine. She's emotional." Lily pulled free, her voice steady. "You'll see emotion when the judge hears what you've done." For a second, Austin's mask cracked. Just enough to reveal panic beneath arrogance. Brooke looked away. As Lily and Marcus walked toward the exit, she whispered, "He's scared." Marcus nodded. "And scared men make mistakes." Outside, a gust of wind whipped her hair as the courthouse dome came into view down the avenue. She wasn't just walking toward justice anymore. She was walking into a war. The courthouse loomed ahead like a fortress of truth. But Lily Carter's mind wasn't on the present. It was haunted by a voice from the past. Alan Thompson. The man who called her this morning. Why did that name sound like it was stitched into her bones? That night, unable to sleep, Lily sat at her kitchen table, the rain outside hammering the windows. Her baby shifted under her ribs. She rubbed her stomach gently, whispering, "We're almost there, sweetheart." Her eyes drifted toward a small wooden box on the top shelf of her closet, her late mother's keepsake. She hadn't opened it in years. She carried it to the table, brushing off dust as if uncovering buried time. Inside were photographs, a silver bracelet engraved with LC, and several letters tied with a faded blue ribbon. One envelope stood out, yellowed, unsent, addressed to Mr. Alan Thompson, Public Defender's Office, Manhattan. Her pulse quickened. She unfolded it carefully. The handwriting was her mother's, curved, elegant. "Alan, I never meant to leave without saying goodbye. I thought you'd understand, but I couldn't risk your career. They would have called me a distraction, maybe worse. I'm pregnant, Alan. I don't expect anything. Only that you remember there was love once, honest and untainted. Please, don't look for me. M." Lily sat frozen, eyes burning. The date was 29 years ago, just months before her birth certificate listed father unknown. "Alan Thompson," she whispered. "The judge, the voice on the phone?" It couldn't be coincidence. The room blurred. For a moment, she saw her mother's tired smile, the way she used to hum while folding laundry in their tiny Queens apartment. All those nights when Lily asked, "Mom, where's my dad?" and her mother would just kiss her forehead and say, "He's somewhere doing the right thing." Tears streamed silently. Maybe that right thing had been walking away. Her phone buzzed, jerking her back. It was a message from Marcus. "Court at 9. Be ready early. Dana will meet us there. Don't be afraid." She typed back slowly. Not afraid. Just finally understanding. She tucked the letter into her folder with her court documents. Something told her she might need it, not as evidence, but as truth. At dawn, she made coffee, black and bitter, the way her mother used to drink it while reading the paper. She sat by the window watching early joggers in Central Park, their reflections blurred by drizzle. Life moved on, unaware of the storms behind closed doors. A soft knock at her door broke the silence. Marcus again, hair damp, tie slightly crooked. He held 2 cups of Starbucks. "Double shot," he said. "You'll need it." Lily managed a small smile. "You always know." As they rode the elevator down, she whispered, "Marcus, have you ever met Judge Thompson?" He glanced at her. "Once, years ago during an internship." "Why?" She hesitated. No reason, just curious. But inside her mind spun. If he was her father, he didn't know she existed. Maybe today would be the day the truth surfaced, one way or another. The Mercedes slid through morning traffic toward Center Street. Sirens wailed in the distance, the city waking up. Lily clutched the letter inside her folder, as if it were armor. "Whatever happens today," Marcus said quietly, "you've already won by standing up." She looked out at the courthouse steps growing larger, marble bright against gray skies. Her voice was calm now. "No, Marcus, today isn't about winning. It's about ending the lies." And somewhere inside those walls, a man named Alan Thompson was about to learn he had a daughter walking straight toward his courtroom. The marble floors of the courthouse gleamed beneath Lily's heels as she stepped inside. Every sound, every click of her shoes, every whisper, echoed like judgment. The morning air smelled faintly of coffee and disinfectant, but beneath it lay something colder. Anticipation. Austin Hale was already there, leaning casually against a column, chatting with a journalist from the Wall Street Ledger. His charm was effortless, his grin sharp. He knew how to control a room, even a courthouse lobby. Brooke Sinclair stood beside him, perfectly polished in a white blazer and diamond earrings that caught every flash of the cameras. Lily paused near the metal detector. Her reflection stared back at her from the glass panel, calm, composed, but with eyes that no longer begged. Marcus walked beside her, his presence a quiet wall of strength. When Austin noticed her, his grin faltered just enough to betray surprise. "You made it," he said smoothly. "I thought stress might keep you home." Lily's voice was calm. "You underestimate me, Austin. You always did." Brooke smirked. Let's hope your baby doesn't pick up your bad habits. The words hit like a knife, but Lily didn't flinch. Marcus stepped forward, lowering his tone. Careful, Miss Sinclair. The press is listening. Brooke's expression froze. Cameras shifted their lenses toward the trio. Austin straightened his tie and gestured politely toward the hallway. Let's not make a scene. The judge will think we're children. They moved toward the waiting area outside courtroom 3B. Dana Lewis, the federal prosecutor who'd agreed to advise Lily, was there waiting. Tall, composed, her navy suit immaculate. Miss Carter, she greeted. Mr. Reed told me everything. We'll get through this. Lily nodded. I brought something. She handed Dana the letter she'd found, the one addressed to Alan Thompson. Dana scanned it, eyebrows lifting slightly. You think this Alan might be? I'm not sure, Lily whispered, but something tells me it matters. Dana slipped the letter into her briefcase. Let's keep it quiet for now. A bailiff called out. All parties for Hale v. Carter, please prepare for entry. Austin turned, giving Lily a cold smile. You really want to do this? I'm already doing it, she said. As they lined up to enter, a woman from the Ledger approached Austin with a recorder. Mr. Hale, any comment before the hearing? He adjusted his cufflinks. Only that I hope the court remembers truth doesn't belong to the loudest voice. Dana leaned close to Lily. He's trying to frame you as emotional. Don't react. Lily inhaled slowly. Her hand brushed the Mont Blanc pen clipped to her folder, its hidden recorder blinking faintly. Every word, every insult, every manipulation, they'd all be captured. Inside the courtroom, the tension thickened. The gallery was half full. Reporters, clerks, a few curious law students. The judge's chair was still empty. Brooke whispered something to Austin, loud enough for Lily to catch. Once this is over, we'll finally be free. Lily's stomach turned. She glanced toward the empty bench, the brass nameplate that read Hon Alan Thompson. Her pulse quickened. That name again. The courtroom doors opened. A hush fell. Judge Thompson entered, black robe flowing, expression unreadable. He glanced briefly across the room, and for a fleeting moment his gaze met Lily's. It wasn't recognition yet, just a flicker, a question. But it was enough to make her breath stop. Austin began his performance immediately. Your Honor, I only want what's best for my wife and unborn child. She's unstable lately. Lily's lawyer rose to object, but before the judge could speak, Brooke leaned over and whispered, Unstable? That's generous. Lily's hands clenched around her folder. Dana touched her shoulder lightly, a silent reminder to stay calm. The hearing hadn't even begun, and already the courtroom was a battlefield. Somewhere beneath the polished surface of the law, family secrets were stirring, and one truth was about to explode. The first hour of the hearing felt like a blur. Voices rising and falling, paper rustling, the gavel tapping rhythmically like a heartbeat. Lily Carter sat at the plaintiff's table, hands folded over her swollen belly, forcing herself to breathe evenly. Every exhale felt like a countdown. Austin Hale sat across the aisle, his expression sculpted in fake sorrow. He wore grief like an accessory, polished, rehearsed. His lawyer, a sharp man in an expensive suit, projected sympathy with every sentence. Mr. Hale only wishes to ensure the safety and stability of his unborn child. Lily's stomach twisted. The same man who left her crying on their penthouse floor was now playing the role of a protective husband. Judge Alan Thompson listened, impassive, jotting notes. His tone was calm, his posture straight, yet there was something restless in his eyes, like recognition tugging at the edge of memory. Every time Lily looked up, she caught him glancing at her, only to quickly look away. When her turn came, Dana Lewis rose. Her voice carried authority, but beneath it was quiet compassion. Your Honor, my client has endured months of harassment, infidelity, and coercion. We have evidence of financial misconduct as well as emotional abuse during her pregnancy. Austin's lawyer chuckled. Abuse? Are we defining disappointment as abuse now? Dana's eyes narrowed. We'll define it with recordings, Mr. Clark. She nodded toward Lily. Lily reached for her Mont Blanc pen, her silent witness. Marcus had shown her how to press the tiny switch hidden beneath the clip. She played a segment, the audio filling the courtroom. Austin's voice. You're nothing without me, Lily. No one will believe a hysterical pregnant woman. Lily, you forged my name. Austin, prove it. The words echoed. Brooke's face went pale. Austin's jaw tightened, eyes darting toward the reporters in the gallery. Dana paused for effect. That's the voice of a man who claims to care about his wife's stability. A murmur rippled through the room. Even the judge shifted slightly, his pen stilling on the pad. Austin's lawyer tried to recover. "Your Honor, that recording is out of context." Judge Thompson raised a hand. "Context can be clarified, but the tone of intimidation is unmistakable." His voice was measured, but his eyes, when they met Lily's, were softer, as if something in him had cracked too. Lily's throat tightened. For a fleeting second, she saw not the authority of the bench, but the weary face of a man who had seen too much pain. Austin leaned toward Brooke, whispering harshly. She stiffened, trying to look composed, but her trembling fingers betrayed her. Dana seized the moment. "We'll submit the financial documents next. Evidence recovered from Mr. Hale's cloud account. Unauthorized transfers under Miss Carter's name." The gallery erupted again. Cameras clicking, reporters scribbling. Austin's mask of calm began to crumble. Judge Thompson tapped his gavel once. "Order. This court values facts, not theatrics. We'll recess for 15 minutes. The bailiff announced the break. The audience stirred, voices buzzing like bees. As Lily stood, her legs trembled. Dana touched her arm. "You did well. Don't lose focus." Marcus met her in the hallway with a bottle of water. "He's cornered. Did you see his eyes?" Lily nodded faintly. "He's not scared of losing money, Marcus. He's scared of losing control." Through the glass wall of the courtroom, she caught a glimpse of Judge Thompson speaking quietly to a clerk. His expression wasn't judicial. It was personal, conflicted. Lily whispered to herself, "Why do I feel like he knows me?" Marcus frowned. "What did you say?" "Nothing," she said quickly, forcing a smile. But deep inside, she knew this wasn't just about justice anymore. Something older, buried for decades, was clawing its way to the surface. A truth that would break more than one man's facade before this trial was over. The courthouse emptied just as the evening rain began again, washing the marble steps in silver light. Lily Carter lingered beneath the portico, clutching her coat tighter. The day had been long, emotionally brutal, but she'd won the first small victory. Austin's mask had cracked, if only slightly. Still, she couldn't shake the unease that grew with every hour. Marcus Reed appeared beside her, holding an umbrella. "Car's waiting," he said gently. "You need rest." Inside the Mercedes S-Class, the hum of the engine soothed her nerves. The city lights flickered past like ghosts. Marcus's phone buzzed twice. He ignored it. "Dana's sending the next batch of files," he said. "Tomorrow we hit harder." Lily leaned her head against the window. "It never ends, does it? Every time I think it's over, there's another lie waiting." Marcus looked at her reflection. "That's how people like Austin survive. They build lies like fortresses, but they always forget the foundations made of sand." A faint smile touched her lips. "You sound like my mother." He grinned. "Smart woman." Back in her apartment, Lily dropped her folder on the table and sat in silence. The ticking of the clock felt too loud. She opened the window. The smell of wet concrete drifted in. Her eyes fell on the letter again, the one addressed to Alan Thompson. She unfolded it, reading the words until they blurred. The idea that her mother had once loved a man who never knew about her, it gnawed at something deep inside. The phone rang, startling her. Unknown number. Again. "Hello?" No answer. Just breathing. "Who is this?" Then a voice, soft but urgent. "Lily, don't be afraid tomorrow. You deserve the truth." "Alan?" she whispered. But the line cut off before she could say more. Her hand shook as she lowered the phone. The baby kicked, a reminder that fear couldn't win tonight. She went to her bedroom and sat on the edge of the bed. The city outside pulsed with noise. Sirens, horns, life. Inside, she felt suspended between two worlds. The one where she fought for justice, and the one where she longed to know where she came from. On her nightstand sat a stack of her mother's old books. She picked one at random, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, and flipped to a highlighted passage. "If it is endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining." Lily laughed under her breath. "Fine," she said softly. "I'll endure it." A knock at her door made her jump. When she opened it, Tessa stood there, umbrella dripping, eyes sharp. "Sis," Tessa began, voice trembling, "we need to talk." Lily crossed her arms. "Now you remember I exist?" Tessa stepped inside, pacing. "You're making a mess of everything. Austin's losing investors. Brooke's freaking out. If you keep pushing, we all go down." "We?" Lily repeated. "I didn't steal, Tessa. I didn't lie. You don't get it." Tessa snapped. "He promised to pay off my debt if I helped him. I didn't know it would go this far." Lily's chest tightened. You sold me out for money. Tessa's eyes filled with guilt. Please, just drop it tomorrow. Settle. Think about your baby. Lily's voice went quiet, cold. I am thinking about my baby. That's why I'm not settling. Tessa turned to leave but stopped at the door. You're not ready for what's coming, Lily. Austin doesn't lose. Lily stared back. Neither do I. When the door closed, she sank into the chair, heart pounding. Outside, thunder rolled again. She pressed a hand to her belly. We're not running, she whispered. The baby moved, as if answering. She didn't know what awaited her in that courtroom tomorrow. Betrayal, revelation, or both. But she knew one thing for certain. The storm had only just begun. The next morning arrived gray and heavy, the kind of morning that felt like it was holding its breath. The courthouse stood silent, its windows reflecting the cloudy Manhattan sky. Inside, the air was thick with whispers, camera shutters, and tension that seemed to hum through the marble walls. Lily Carter walked in through the security gate, her coat buttoned tightly, her folder clutched like a shield. Each step echoed down the hallway. Her heels clicked, measured, steady, masking the tremor in her hands. Marcus Reed walked beside her, his calm presence cutting through the chaos. You ready? He asked. Lily gave a small nod. Ready enough. In front of courtroom 3B, reporters gathered like vultures. Austin was already there, perfectly dressed, laughing with Brooke Sinclair, their voices sugar-coated for the cameras. When he saw Lily, his smile didn't falter, but his eyes hardened. Lily, he said smoothly, you're glowing. Pregnancy suits you. She didn't answer. She brushed past him and stood by the bench, waiting for the bailiff's signal. Brooke leaned closer, whispering, Enjoy your last day of pretending to be innocent. Lily turned her head slightly. And you? Enjoy your last day of pretending you're not his accomplice. Brooke's smirk faltered. The hallway fell silent as Judge Alan Thompson stepped out of his chambers. He wasn't supposed to be there yet. His clerk followed, whispering urgently, Your Honor, the session hasn't started. He ignored her. His gaze found Lily, and for a moment time fractured. Something deep flickered behind his calm mask, a memory, or maybe recognition. He cleared his throat. Everyone, inside, now. The bailiff opened the doors. But before anyone could move, Brooke's voice sliced through the silence. Oh, she's playing the victim again. Poor little Lily, abandoned and pregnant. Lily froze. The reporters turned, their cameras flashing. Then, before reason could intervene, Brooke's hand lashed out, slapping Lily across the face. The sound cracked through the hallway like a gunshot. Gasps erupted. Security officers stepped forward, and before Lily could react, Tessa Carter, her own sister, shouted, Stop embarrassing us, and slapped her too. The second hit made Lily stumble backward. Her folder hit the ground, papers scattering across the polished floor. Her vision blurred. All she could hear was her heartbeat pounding in her ears. Reporters shouted questions, flashbulbs popped, the chaos swelled. Then, a deep booming voice cut through everything. Enough. Every head turned. Judge Thompson stood frozen in the doorway, eyes blazing. His face had gone pale, his gavel still clutched in his hand. The hallway stilled. He looked at Lily, at her tear-streaked face, her trembling hands, her swollen belly, and something inside him broke. His voice cracked when he spoke. Don't touch her again, he said. That's my daughter. The words echoed through the marble corridor, bouncing off walls, searing into every witness's memory. Gasps filled the air. A journalist dropped her microphone. Even Austin looked stunned, color draining from his face. Your daughter? Brooke whispered. Tessa's eyes widened. That's impossible. But the judge didn't move. His expression said everything. For a heartbeat, the world stopped spinning. Lily stood frozen, staring at the man in the black robe, the man whose name was written on her mother's forgotten letter. Her breath came in shallow bursts. Cameras clicked again, frantically capturing the impossible moment. A judge declaring his blood tie to the woman he was meant to judge. Marcus was the first to move, stepping between Lily and the chaos. Security officers separated the crowd, ushering people back. Judge Thompson turned to the bailiff. Clear the hallway, now. As people scattered, Lily could still hear the echo of his voice, those 4 words that had rewritten her entire life. That's my daughter. The phrase hung in the air like a curse and a salvation all at once. For Lily, the world had just split open, and what came next would change everything. For a moment, the hallway outside courtroom 3B was a vacuum. No breath, no motion, just the echo of 4 words. That's my daughter. Lily Carter stood frozen, her cheeks stinging from the slaps, her ears ringing. The cameras clicked furiously, but she didn't hear them. She could only stare at Judge Alan Thompson, the man in the black robe whose face she'd never seen before today, and yet somehow had known her entire life. A bailiff shouted for order. 2 security officers moved quickly, restraining Brooke and Tessa. "You can't touch a plaintiff in this court, ma'am," one barked. Tessa tried to pull away, screaming, "I didn't know, she provoked me." But her voice trembled with guilt. Judge Thompson's hand trembled as he lowered his gavel. "Everyone, inside my chambers, now." The crowd buzzed, reporters whispered, recorders still running. Dana Lewis stormed forward, shielding Lily from the flashes. "No comments," she snapped. "Court's in session, not the tabloids." Marcus placed his coat gently over Lily's shoulders. "Breathe," he whispered. "Just breathe." Inside the judge's chambers, the air felt suffocating. Lily sat shaking across from Thompson. He removed his robe slowly, like shedding a lifetime of restraint. His hair was streaked with gray, his face lined, but his eyes, when they met hers, were wet. "Your mother's name was Margaret Carter," he said quietly. "It wasn't a question." Lily nodded. He exhaled, the sound breaking. "She worked in the records office 29 years ago. We were close. Then she disappeared. I looked for her, but she was gone." Lily's fingers clutched the letter inside her folder. "She wrote to you," she whispered. "She said she left to protect your career. She never told me who you were." The judge's eyes glistened. "She did protect me. I didn't deserve it." He swallowed hard. "And now, after all these years, I've nearly sentenced my own daughter without even knowing." Dana cleared her throat, professional but gentle. "Your Honor, this creates a direct conflict of interest. You'll need to recuse yourself from this case." He nodded. Of course, the moment was fragile, too human for the polished walls of justice. Thompson turned to Lily again. "I can't erase the years I missed, but I can ensure no one harms you again." From the corner, Austin's lawyer, Mr. Clark, spoke coldly. "Your Honor, with all due respect, this revelation compromises every ruling you've made regarding this case." Thompson's eyes hardened. "You're right, Counselor. I'll file for immediate reassignment, but before I step down, I will address what just happened in that hallway." He turned toward Tessa and Brooke, both pale and silent. 2 women assaulted a pregnant litigant inside a courthouse. Under my jurisdiction. Bailiff, take formal statement. Expect charges to be filed by noon. Brooke burst out. "She ruined my life." He promised. Thompson's voice cut through her protest. "The law doesn't care about your promises, Miss Sinclair. It cares about your actions." The room fell silent. Lily wiped her tears quietly. "Why did you say it?" she asked. "You could have stayed silent." He looked at her for a long moment. "Because when I saw them strike you, I saw your mother. I swore I'd never stay silent again." The words pierced her like light breaking through fog. Dana touched Lily's shoulder. "We'll move for reassignment. I'll handle the press. Marcus, get her home." Judge Thompson hesitated as Lily stood to leave. "Lily," he said softly, almost pleading, "when this is over, I'd like to know my granddaughter." Her breath caught. She didn't answer, just nodded faintly before walking out. Outside, the hallway had emptied. The reporters were gone, the echo of chaos replaced by the hum of distant city traffic. Marcus took her hand. "You okay?" Lily looked back at the closed courtroom door. "No," she said honestly, "but for the first time, I think I will be." Behind that door, a father had found his daughter, and a woman who once felt invisible had become the center of justice itself. Morning sunlight cut through the gray clouds above the New York County Supreme Court, throwing long stripes of gold across the marble floor. The world outside buzzed with headlines. Judge claims pregnant plaintiff is his daughter. Courtroom chaos turns personal. Cameras swarmed the courthouse steps, but inside everything was quieter, heavier, like the building itself was holding its breath. Lily Carter sat on a bench near the hallway window, hands folded protectively over her belly. Her cheek still bore a faint mark from yesterday's slap, but her eyes, once full of fear, now held a steady calm. She'd faced betrayal, humiliation, and revelation in a single day, and somehow she was still standing. Marcus Reed stood beside her, scrolling through his phone. "Dana just confirmed," he said. "They reassigned the case to Judge Morales. Thompson's hearing the recusal in person before stepping down." Lily nodded, though her heart twisted. He shouldn't have to apologize for the truth. Marcus looked at her. In his world, truth comes second to appearance. Before Lily could answer, the courtroom doors opened. Judge Alan Thompson entered, no robe this time, just a dark suit, neat but heavy with exhaustion. Every whisper in the gallery died instantly. He walked to the bench, his gavel resting beside a single sheet of paper. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice steady but low, "due to a conflict of interest that has come to light, I will no longer preside over this case. Justice requires impartiality, and though my judgment has not been compromised, my heart has." The words rippled through the room. Austin shifted uncomfortably beside his attorney. Brooke stared straight ahead, her face drained of color. Thompson continued, "I wish to address the events of yesterday. Violence has no place within these walls, least of all against a woman carrying life. Formal charges have been submitted to the district attorney's office." Tessa looked down at her hands, tears pooling silently. Brooke muttered something under her breath, but even she knew the tide had turned. Lily's pulse quickened. Part of her wanted to run to him, to say something, anything, but she stayed still. Thompson looked directly at her, and for one fleeting moment, the courtroom disappeared. His voice softened. "Miss Carter, the law cannot give back what time has taken, but I hope it can still protect what remains." Lily swallowed hard. "Thank you, Your Honor." He nodded once, a faint smile ghosting across his lips. Then he turned toward the clerk. "Transfer all materials to Judge Morales effective immediately." The bailiff collected files, and the formality of the system clicked back into motion. But beneath it, emotion simmered, unspoken, undeniable. When the session adjourned, reporters swarmed like bees outside the doors. Flashbulbs burst, microphones stretched toward Lily. Voices shouted questions. "Is it true the judge is your father? Are you seeking custody or revenge? Do you plan to settle?" Marcus blocked the crowd, guiding her through the noise. Dana met them near the exit. "The media is not your enemy," she said. "They're just hungry. Let them starve a little." Lily half smiled. "Good advice." As they reached the courthouse steps, a black sedan idled by the curb. The driver lowered the window, Judge Thompson. He looked up at her, uncertain, as though asking permission just to speak. She stepped closer. For a moment, they simply looked at each other. The man who had missed her entire life, and the woman who had just changed his forever. "I'm sorry," he said quietly, "for everything I didn't know, for everything I didn't do." Lily blinked back tears. "You didn't abandon me, you just didn't know where to look." He smiled faintly, his eyes glistening. "Now that I've found you, I won't lose you again." The light turned green. The driver glanced in the mirror, waiting. Thompson hesitated, then said, "Good luck, Miss Carter." She nodded. "Goodbye, Dad." The car pulled away, merging into the Manhattan traffic. Lily stood there watching until it disappeared into the crowd. Marcus touched her arm. "You okay?" She took a long breath, the first steady one in days. "No," she said softly, "but I think I'm finally free." And for the first time, freedom didn't feel like running. It felt like standing her ground. Rain drizzled again over Manhattan, turning the courthouse steps into a mirror of gray skies and flashing lights. News vans still crowded the block. The story of the judge's daughter case had exploded overnight, every headline screaming betrayal, scandal, and justice. Lily Carter tried not to look at the cameras as she entered through the side entrance, escorted by Dana Lewis and Marcus Reed. Her coat hood was up, but she could still feel the weight of 100 lenses following her. "They'll move on in a day," Marcus said gently. Lily shook her head. "Not until Austin gives them something louder." She wasn't wrong. Inside, Austin Hale was already performing for the press. Standing near the lobby pillars, he smiled like a man auditioning for sympathy. "I'm deeply saddened by what happened," he told a reporter. "Lily's under immense stress. I only want what's best for her and our child." Lily stopped in her tracks. "Our child," she muttered bitterly. "He's never once said that to me." Dana's tone hardened. "Ignore him. His mask is slipping. The moment we expose the financial fraud, the narrative changes." They headed toward the elevator, but a sudden voice stopped them. "Lily." She turned. Tessa stood there, soaked from the rain, mascara running. Her once perfect confidence was gone. Lily's jaw clenched. "You shouldn't be here." "I had to see you," Tessa said, stepping closer. "Austin's losing everything. The investors are backing out. And Brooke, She's turning on him. She said she'll testify if it means saving herself. Dana arched an eyebrow. That's called self-preservation. Tessa's eyes filled with guilt. Lily, I'm sorry. I was stupid. I thought helping him would fix my debt, not destroy my family. Lily's expression softened, but only slightly. You watched him ruin me, Tessa. You slapped me in front of the world. Tessa wiped her eyes. I didn't mean to. It just happened. I panicked. Lily's voice trembled with quiet fury. You panicked while I was carrying a baby. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Lily sighed. If you really want to fix this, tell the truth on record. Everything you know. Tessa hesitated, then nodded. I will. I can't live like this anymore. Marcus stepped forward. Then you'll give your statement to Dana tonight. No contact with Austin or Brooke. Understood? Tessa agreed, wiping her tears as she left. When they entered the courtroom again, the atmosphere was different, tense, fractured. Judge Morales had replaced Thompson, a stern man with eyes like polished steel. Mr. Hale, the judge began, this court has received new evidence regarding your company's accounts. You're aware that falsifying financial records is a criminal offense? Austin straightened his tie. Your Honor, those were clerical errors, nothing more. Dana rose. With respect, we can prove otherwise. These aren't mistakes, they're deliberate manipulations. The plaintiff's signature was forged. Brooke shifted in her seat, avoiding eye contact. Dana turned sharply toward her. Miss Sinclair, would you like to explain why this document was sent from your company email? Brooke's lips parted, then closed again. Her hand trembled. Austin shot her a warning glance, but it was too late. Her silence screamed guilt. The judge leaned forward. Miss Sinclair, if you withhold information, you'll be charged as an accomplice. The tension cracked. Brooke whispered, he told me to do it. Gasps erupted. Austin slammed his hand on the table. That's a lie. Judge Morales' gavel struck. Order, Mr. Hale, control yourself. Dana exchanged a glance with Lily, one that said we just won the first real blow. Austin's empire was crumbling in real time, and the whole courtroom could feel it. As the session adjourned, Lily gathered her papers, heart pounding. Marcus smiled faintly. You see? Truth has a way of bleeding through. But Dana's expression was grim. Don't celebrate yet. Cornered men do dangerous things. Lily looked toward Austin. His jaw was tight, eyes dark with something colder than fear, vengeance. And deep down she knew. This war wasn't over, it was only getting sharper. That night, Manhattan was drowned in mist. Streetlights glowed like ghosts along Park Avenue, and the city's usual hum had dulled into something quieter, heavier. Inside her apartment, Lily Carter sat at the kitchen table, papers spread around her like broken glass. Her baby kicked softly, as if sensing her unease. Across from her, Marcus Reed watched her in silence, sleeves rolled up, tie loosened. The room smelled faintly of rain and burnt coffee. You should rest, he said gently. You've done more than enough today. Lily shook her head. No, I can't rest until this ends. Austin's too quiet. When he's quiet, he's plotting. Marcus hesitated. You think he'll try something? She looked up. He always does. The sound of her phone buzzing cut through the silence. Unknown number. She frowned. It's the same number that called before. Marcus's brow furrowed. Answer it. She did. Hello. A pause. Then a voice she now recognized, soft, older, steady. Alan Thompson. Lily, it's me. Her heart leapt. Judge, no, I mean, Dad. The word felt foreign and fragile on her tongue. He sighed quietly. I shouldn't be calling, but I needed to hear your voice. I've spent the entire evening wondering how your mother would have handled this. Lily closed her eyes. She would have told me to keep fighting. She'd always said the truth doesn't need to shout, it just needs to stand. He chuckled softly. She said that to me once too. Silence lingered between them, a silence filled with years they never had. Then he said, Lily, you need to be careful. I overheard something at the courthouse today. Hale met with a private investigator, someone with access to sealed adoption and hospital records. He's digging into your past. Her stomach dropped. Why would he do that? Because he's desperate, Alan replied. He knows the fraud case is closing in. If he can discredit you, make it look like you lied about your identity, he might stall the prosecution. Lily gripped the phone tighter. He'll use anything, even the truth. Marcus leaned forward. What is it? He whispered. She mouthed, Austin's digging. Alan's tone grew firmer. I can't intervene legally, but I won't let him hurt you again. Dana's strong. Trust her. And Lily, don't let my past become your burden. Her voice cracked. You're not my burden, Dad. You're the only part of this mess that feels right. He didn't answer right away. Then softly, I wish I'd known you sooner. The line went quiet. Lily set the phone down, staring at it like it might still carry his voice. Marcus reached over, covering her hand. He's right. Austin's desperate. That makes him reckless. She nodded slowly. Then we'll be ready. Just then her apartment buzzer rang. They both froze. Marcus stood. Stay here. He went to the door and peered through the peephole. A delivery man stood in the hallway, holding a small brown box with an Amazon label. Did you order something? Marcus asked. Lily frowned. No. Marcus accepted it cautiously. Inside was a single USB drive and a note typed in block letters. For the woman who still believes in truth. From someone who's tired of lies. Lily's pulse quickened. Brooke, she whispered. Marcus nodded. Probably. If this is what I think it is, tomorrow could end him. He plugged the drive into her MacBook, eyes scanning the files, emails, invoices, voice notes. Austin's voice filled the room. She'll never find out. I covered every trail. If she talks, we leak the pregnancy records. Make her look unstable. Lily's face hardened. He recorded himself threatening me. Marcus looked at her, a mix of disbelief and admiration. This is it, Lily. This is the endgame. Outside, thunder rolled over the skyline, echoing through the windows. Lily stood, closing the laptop. Her reflection stared back at her in the dark glass. Stronger, sharper. No, she said quietly. This is the beginning. And somewhere across the city, Austin Hale had no idea that his own voice had just become the weapon that would destroy him. Morning light spilled through the apartment blinds, washing everything in pale gold. Lily Carter hadn't slept. The USB drive from the night before sat beside her cup of untouched coffee, its plastic surface gleaming like a loaded gun. Every time she replayed Austin's voice saying, "Make her look unstable," her chest tightened. Across the room, Marcus Reed typed furiously on his MacBook Pro, cross-checking metadata. "It's clean," he said. "No edits, no tampering. These are real." Lily exhaled. "Then we have him." Marcus's tone turned cautious. "Maybe. But the moment we use this, the war becomes public. He'll burn everything he can before he goes down." She met his eyes. "Let him. I'm done hiding." At that moment, a knock rattled the door. It wasn't gentle. It was official. Marcus opened it to find Dana Lewis, sharp as ever in a dark trench coat, holding a file folder. "You're both up early," she said, stepping inside. "Good, because we've got a problem." Lily tensed. "What kind of problem?" Dana dropped the folder on the table. Inside were screenshots of a tabloid article already spreading online. Pregnant plaintiff lied about identity, claims of secret adoption scandal. Lily's stomach sank. "He did it. He leaked it." Dana nodded grimly. "Austin's lawyer fed the press a twisted version of your birth record. They're implying you faked your name, that you're not who you claim to be." Marcus cursed under his breath. Classic smear campaign. Lily pressed a hand to her chest. "Can he really do that? Isn't that illegal?" Dana shook her head. "Not if he hides behind anonymous sources. But this," she pointed at the USB, "changes everything. If we present these recordings properly, he won't have time to spin another lie." Marcus turned to her. "You sure the court will admit it?" Dana nodded. "It's his own voice, recorded during the commission of a crime. It's admissible, but we have to act fast before he files a counterclaim." Lily straightened. "Then we go now. No more waiting." They drove through the streets of Lower Manhattan, the skyline glittering like a blade under sunlight. The Mercedes S-Class hummed quietly as Marcus gripped the wheel. Lily stared out the window, her reflection overlapping with the city outside. "Do you think he knows Brooke turned on him?" she asked. Marcus smiled faintly. "He will soon." At the courthouse, Dana met them at the side entrance to avoid the reporters. She carried the USB drive in a sealed envelope, her expression unflinching. "The judge will review it in chambers first," she said. "If he authenticates it, it goes public." Lily nodded, her hands trembling only slightly. "Let's end this." Inside courtroom 4A, Judge Morales sat stern behind the bench. "Miss Lewis, I understand you're submitting new evidence?" Dana rose. "Yes, Your Honor. Audio proof directly implicating the defendant in coercion and document forgery." Austin's lawyer stood, feigning outrage. "This is harassment, Your Honor." "Fabricated." But then Dana pressed play. Austin's voice filled the room. "She's too emotional to think straight. We'll make her sign the documents again. Tell her it's standard procedure. By the time she realizes, everything will be in my name." Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Austin went pale, his hand tightening on the table. Judge Morales leaned back, jaw set. "Mr. Hale, do you deny this is your voice?" Austin stammered. That's taken out of context." Dana cut him off smoothly. "Context doesn't change your words, sir." Silence fell. Even Brooke, sitting behind him, looked away. Morales's gavel came down hard. "This court will recess for 20 minutes while I review this evidence privately. Mr. Hale, you will remain in the building." When the judge exited, Austin turned toward Lily, his composure gone. "You think you've won? You have no idea what you've started." Lily met his glare, steady and fearless. "No, Austin, I didn't start this. You did." Marcus whispered beside her. "He's unraveling. Just a little longer." Lily's fingers brushed the small silver bracelet her mother once wore. For the first time she felt its weight as something different, not grief, but strength. She looked at Marcus and Dana. "When this ends, I don't want revenge. I just want peace." Dana nodded. "Then we'll make sure you get it." Outside, thunder rolled again above the city, as if the sky itself knew. Truth had finally set its trap, and Austin Hale was walking straight into it. When the court resumed, tension coiled through the air like a live wire. The chatter from the gallery had turned into a low buzz. Everyone could sense something irreversible was about to happen. Lily Carter sat perfectly still at the plaintiff's table, her hands folded, her face calm but pale. Beside her, Dana Lewis prepared the final documents, every motion deliberate, surgical. Across the aisle, Austin Hale looked nothing like the polished entrepreneur splashed across magazine covers. His tie hung loose, his jaw tight. Brooke Sinclair, seated a few feet behind him, avoided his gaze entirely. The moment the USB played earlier, she'd shifted in her seat, her face draining of color. She knew she'd helped bury him. Judge Morales entered and adjusted his glasses, setting down the printed transcript of the recording. The room silenced instantly. "I've reviewed the submitted evidence," Morales began, "and after comparing this audio with verified recordings of Mr. Hale, I am satisfied that the voice is authentic. This court will admit it as evidence." A single murmur rippled through the courtroom. Dana's lips pressed into a small, satisfied line. Austin's lawyer slumped slightly, his argument dying before it began. Morales continued. "The recording indicates not only fraud, but intentional coercion against the plaintiff. The district attorney's office will review the matter for criminal charges." Austin slammed his hand on the table. "You can't do this. That's not." The gavel cracked sharply. "Enough, Mr. Hale. This is a courtroom, not a stage." Dana stood calmly. "Your Honor, given the newly admitted evidence, we ask for immediate protective custody for Miss Carter and her unborn child. The defendant has already shown intent to intimidate." Morales nodded. "Granted, effective immediately." Lily felt the words sink into her chest like warmth breaking through ice. After months of fear, there was finally safety. Austin turned toward her, eyes blazing. "You think this is over? You think they'll believe you once the truth about your real father comes out?" The words sliced through the air. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Dana shot up. "Mr. Hale, that's irrelevant to these proceedings and dangerously close to contempt," Austin sneered. "Oh, it's relevant. The world deserves to know that the poor little pregnant victim is the illegitimate daughter of a sitting judge." The room gasped. Cameras clicked. Morales's expression darkened. "Mr. Hale, one more outburst and I will have you removed." But Lily didn't flinch. She rose slowly, her voice steady. "You can say what you want, Austin. I didn't choose my father, but I choose what kind of mother I'll be." That simple line cut deeper than any legal threat. Austin's mouth opened, then closed, as if words had failed him for the first time. Brooke suddenly stood up, trembling. "I'm done," she said aloud. "I'm done lying for you." She pulled a stack of printed emails from her purse and placed them on Dana's table. "He made me sign fake invoices. He said it was just for show, but I knew it was fraud." Gasps filled the room again. Dana took the pages, flipping through them quickly, her face lit with confirmation. "Your Honor, these directly corroborate the recording." Morales nodded gravely. "Mr. Hale, you will surrender your passport. This court will forward all materials to the district attorney's office for immediate investigation." As the bailiff stepped closer, Austin rose abruptly, knocking over his chair. "You think I'm scared of you?" He barked at Marcus. You think she won't crumble without me? Marcus's voice was calm, almost pitying. You already crumbled, Austin. You just didn't hear the sound. Security escorted him out as reporters shouted, cameras flashing wildly. In the chaos, Lily sat back down, exhaling for what felt like the first time in months. Dana placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. It's done, she said quietly. But Lily shook her head, eyes fixed on the door where Austin had vanished. No, she whispered. It's justice, and justice is never done, it just begins again. Outside the courthouse, the storm clouds finally broke apart, sunlight spilling through the city like a promise. The following morning, Manhattan woke to headlines that could silence traffic. Austin Hale indicted for fraud. Brooke Sinclair turned state witness, the judge's daughter who brought a tycoon down. On every street corner, the story played on digital billboards. Austin's empire had collapsed overnight, his company's stock frozen, his luxury penthouse seized by investigators. For years he'd been the golden man of Park Avenue. Now his fall was the talk of every newsroom in America. Inside her quiet apartment, Lily Carter sat on the couch, a mug of coffee warming her hands. She stared at the morning light pouring through the curtains, soft, peaceful, unreal. Marcus Reed scrolled through his iPad nearby, eyes sharp. They're running background checks on every one of his shell companies. The fraud's deeper than we thought. Lily exhaled slowly. Then he'll finally answer for all of it. Dana Lewis arrived moments later, holding a small stack of papers. Her trench coat dripped with rain, but her expression was satisfied. The district attorney just signed the charges. Mail fraud, wire fraud, identity falsification, coercion. You name it, he's finished. Lily smiled faintly. It doesn't feel like victory. It just feels quiet. Dana sat across from her. That's what real justice feels like, quiet. The noise comes from the guilty. The words lingered. Outside, the hum of the city felt distant, softened by the storm that had finally passed. Lily touched her stomach gently. Her baby kicked, alive and strong. Marcus looked up from his screen. There's one more thing, he said carefully. Austin's lawyer is trying to spin a new narrative, says you set him up for revenge after discovering Judge Thompson was your father. Lily's expression didn't change. Let them talk. The truth doesn't need a press release. Dana smirked. That's exactly why they hate you. You don't play the game. The apartment phone rang. Lily picked up cautiously. Hello? A familiar voice came through, deep, calm, tinged with regret. Lily, it's me. She straightened. Dad. Alan Thompson's voice carried through the line, softer now that the chaos had ended. I wanted to see you before the next hearing, but I didn't want to make things harder. How are you holding up? Lily swallowed. I'm still breathing. Still standing. He chuckled gently. You sound like your mother. She used to say that after every storm. Her eyes stung. I wish she were here to see this. She would have been proud, he said. Not because you won, but because you fought without becoming cruel. There was silence, heavy but healing. Finally, Alan said, the ethics board has requested I step down permanently. I agreed. A judge must be clean and my past isn't, but I'll be at your next hearing as a father, not a jurist. Lily's chest tightened. You don't have to explain. You did what was right. I'm trying to now, he said quietly. After they hung up, Lily sat for a moment, letting the tears fall freely this time, not from pain, but from release. Marcus poured her another coffee. What happens next? She smiled faintly. Life. Real life. He hesitated, then reached into his pocket and handed her a small Tiffany box. I got this before everything fell apart. It's not what you think. Inside was a delicate silver pendant shaped like a feather. For strength, he said. You've earned it. Lily touched the charm, smiling softly. Thank you. The city outside buzzed faintly again. Honking taxis, distant chatter. But inside the small apartment, time seemed to slow. Dana checked her watch and stood. I'll see you in court tomorrow. We're almost at the finish line. Lily nodded, watching the door close behind her. Then she turned to Marcus. You think the world will forget? He smiled. No, but they'll move on. You will too. Lily looked out the window, where sunlight pierced through the gray clouds over Central Park. Then maybe this time, she whispered, I'll move towards something good. For the first time in months, the world didn't feel like a battlefield. It felt like a beginning. The next morning, the sky above Manhattan was a piercing blue, deceptively calm after weeks of chaos. Yet inside the New York County Supreme Court, tension simmered like thunder beneath marble floors. The hearing to finalize Lily Carter's protection order and the official fraud charges against Austin Hale was about to begin. Lily arrived early, escorted by Marcus Reed and Dana Lewis. Her black coat framed her like armor, her expression focused. The press had been blocked from the courtroom this time, but she could still feel their curiosity pressing against the doors like a living thing. "Last round," Marcus whispered as they entered. Lily nodded. "Let's finish this." Across the aisle, Austin sat at the defense table. Gone was the confident mogul from magazine covers. His hair was unkempt, his suit wrinkled. The arrogance had drained from his face, replaced by something colder. Resentment. Brooke Sinclair sat behind him, hands folded tightly. She looked fragile but determined, the guilt of her choices etched into her face. Judge Morales took his seat, stern as ever. "This court is reconvened to address final evidence in the matter of Carter v. Hale and subsequent fraud allegations. Miss Lewis, you may proceed." Dana rose, composed and exact. "Your Honor, we present new corroborating material provided by Miss Sinclair, emails and bank transfers confirming Mr. Hale's misappropriation of corporate funds and coercion of witnesses. All have been authenticated." The judge nodded. "Accepted into record." Dana continued, her tone sharp. "Furthermore, due to the credible threat made by Mr. Hale toward the plaintiff and her unborn child, we request an indefinite restraining order." Austin's lawyer jumped to his feet. "Your Honor, my client denies all." Before he could finish, Austin slammed his palm on the table, shouting, "This is a setup! She planned this from the start." The courtroom erupted. Dana remained calm, arms crossed. "Your Honor, I think the recording from Exhibit B refutes that claim." Morales's eyes hardened. "Mr. Hale, one more outburst and I'll hold you in contempt." Austin glared at Lily. "You think you've won because you have a baby? Because you cried on camera? You don't even know who you are." Lily stood, her voice calm but cutting. "I know exactly who I am. I'm the woman you underestimated." The words sliced through the room like glass. Austin froze, his mouth half open. Morales tapped his gavel. "Enough. This court has sufficient evidence. The fraud charges are confirmed and referred to the district attorney's office. A full restraining order will be issued immediately." Dana inclined her head. "Thank you, Your Honor." As the bailiff approached Austin, he tried one last desperate move, leaning toward Lily and hissing, "You'll regret this. You'll raise that child alone." Lily's eyes didn't waver. "I'd rather raise a child alone than with a monster." Security gripped Austin's arm, pulling him back. For the first time his bravado cracked completely. He shouted her name, but no one listened. His voice was swallowed by the sound of the closing courtroom doors. Silence followed, a silence so complete it almost felt holy. Lily sank back into her seat, the weight of months lifting all at once. Dana placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "It's over," she said softly. Lily managed a faint smile. "No, it's beginning." As they walked out, reporters crowded behind barricades, shouting questions, flashes exploding. Marcus shielded her with his coat, guiding her through. Outside, the cold air hit her face like baptism. The city stretched out before her, loud, alive, indifferent, and for the first time in months, she wasn't afraid of it. On the courthouse steps, Judge Alan Thompson waited in plain clothes, a father's pride softening his tired eyes. He said nothing, only nodded once. Lily returned the nod, her voice quiet but sure. "Thank you, Dad," he smiled. "No need to thank me, just live." As the sun broke fully through the clouds, Lily looked toward the skyline, her reflection caught in the courthouse glass. She didn't see a victim anymore. She saw a survivor, stronger than the storm behind her, ready for whatever came next. And this time she wasn't walking away from her past, she was walking through it. The city looked different now. Not louder or brighter, just clearer, as if a fog had finally lifted. Lily Carter stood by her apartment window overlooking Central Park, sunlight painting soft gold across the skyline. For the first time in months, she felt the stillness of peace. No lawyers calling, no cameras waiting, no whispers of scandal. Just quiet. Her baby shifted gently beneath her hand. "We did it," she whispered. "It's over." On the coffee table sat the folded New York Times, headline bold, "Austin Hale formally charged, investors turn on fallen tycoon." The photo beneath showed Austin in handcuffs, head lowered, a man unrecognizable from the one who used to command entire boardrooms. There was no victory in seeing him fall, only closure. The doorbell rang. Lily opened it to find Marcus Reed holding 2 cups of coffee. He smiled. "Decaf, I remembered." She laughed softly. "You always do." He stepped inside, looking around at the boxes stacked neatly near the couch. "You're really leaving?" She nodded. "Just for a while. The Hamptons. I need air that doesn't smell like lawsuits." Marcus chuckled. "I can't argue with that." They sat across from each other, sipping coffee in comfortable silence. The bond between them had deepened beyond words. No promises, no pressure, just understanding. Finally, Marcus said, "Dana called this morning. Brooks entered witness protection. Tessa's testifying to help the prosecution." Lily set down her cup. "Tessa?" Her voice trailed. "Do you think she did it to make things right or just to save herself?" "Maybe both," Marcus said. "People rarely change out of guilt alone, but she did show up." Lily nodded. "That's something." She walked over to the piano by the window, her mother's old upright, the only thing she'd kept from their childhood home. Her fingers brushed the keys gently. "Mom used to say peace doesn't come when the noise ends. It comes when you stop expecting silence." Marcus smiled. "Sounds like something you'd say." Before she could answer, her phone buzzed. It was a text from Alan Thompson, her father. "Dinner tonight? No courtrooms, no questions. Just family." Her lips curved into a smile. "He's trying," she said. Marcus stood, picking up his coat. "He should. He's lucky to have you." She followed him to the door. "Marcus?" He turned. "Thank you for believing me when no one else did." He looked at her for a long moment. "You didn't need me to believe in you, Lily. You just needed a reminder that you already could." The door closed behind him, leaving her alone again, but it wasn't the same kind of alone as before. It felt lighter. Later that evening, she met Alan at a small bistro tucked along Fifth Avenue. No reporters, no flashing lights, just a father and daughter sitting across a candlelit table, fumbling through the rhythm of something brand new. "I used to pass this place every night after court," he said, smiling faintly. "Always thought it was too expensive." Lily laughed. "Guess we both underestimated ourselves." He grew serious. "I'm leaving the bench for good. I'll teach law at Columbia, ethics, ironically enough. I want to help young lawyers see that truth isn't always black and white." She reached across the table, touching his hand. "That's how Mom would have wanted you to make peace with it." For a moment, silence stretched comfortably between them. Then Alan said softly, "You remind me of her more every day." Lily blinked back tears. "I hope so." As they stepped out onto the sidewalk, Manhattan sparkled under the evening lights. The wind was cool, the air alive with laughter and the scent of roasted chestnuts from a nearby cart. Lily looked up at the city, the same city that had witnessed her humiliation, her fight, and her redemption. But now it no longer loomed over her. It was hers again. And for the first time, she realized that healing wasn't about erasing the scars. It was about learning to live beautifully with them. A week later, Manhattan shimmered under spring sunlight. The city had moved on to its next scandal, but Lily Carter's name still lingered on headlines, podcasts, and think pieces. For most people, she was the woman who brought a corporate king to his knees. For Lily, she was just a mother waiting to breathe freely again. She sat in a corner booth at a quiet cafe near Bryant Park, sipping warm tea. The world outside bustled as usual, but she no longer felt like part of the chaos. Her belly was round now, her due date approaching fast. She traced small circles on the cup's rim, lost in thought. Her phone buzzed. "Tessa?" Lily hesitated before answering. "Hey," she said softly. Tessa's voice trembled. "I didn't think you'd pick up. I almost didn't." "I know." There was a pause, filled with the sounds of city traffic on the other end. "I'm testifying tomorrow. The prosecutors said I could get community service instead of jail if I cooperate fully." "That's good," Lily said carefully. Tessa sniffled. "I wanted to say I'm sorry for everything, for selling you out, for not believing you. You didn't deserve that." Lily leaned back, staring at the sunlight filtering through the cafe window. "You hurt me, Tessa. You chose him over me." "I know. I thought he was going to save me, fix everything. Turns out he was just good at breaking people." Silence. Then Lily said quietly, "You can't fix the past, but you can tell the truth tomorrow. That's all that matters now." "I will," Tessa promised. "And Lily? Don't hate me forever." "I don't," Lily whispered. "I just hope you find peace." When the call ended, Lily sat still for a moment, feeling the ache in her chest fade a little. Across the cafe, Marcus Reed entered, waving lightly. He sat down across from her, setting a small brown Starbucks bag on the table. "Banana bread," he said. "Dana says you're supposed to eat more carbs." Lily smiled. "I'll tell her she's my new doctor." Marcus studied her quietly. "You look lighter." "Maybe I am," she said. "I talked to Tessa." He nodded slowly. "Good. You don't need that weight anymore." For a moment they just sat, watching people pass by outside, their laughter, their phones, their small dramas. The city moved on, indifferent, but Lily no longer felt invisible inside it. Marcus broke the silence. "Dana texted me this morning. Austin's plea deal is official. 15 years, no parole for 10. It's done." Lily exhaled, the final knot in her chest untying. "So that's it?" "That's it," Marcus said softly. A small smile curved her lips. "Then maybe it's time I stop surviving and start living." Marcus reached across the table, brushing his fingers against hers. "You already started the moment you stood up in that courtroom." Before Lily could reply, a small group of young law students entered the cafe. She recognized one of them whispering to another, phone in hand. "That's her," the girl murmured. "The woman from the trial." Lily caught their eyes and smiled gently. "Justice isn't about winning," she said. "It's about not letting fear make you small." The students smiled back, embarrassed but inspired. After they left, Marcus said, "You realize you're becoming a symbol, right?" Lily laughed. "God, I hope not. I just want to be a mother who makes it to her next checkup on time." They walked out together, sunlight warm against their faces. Central Park bloomed ahead, green and alive. Lily paused by the fountain, closing her eyes as the wind brushed her hair. "Do you ever wonder," she asked softly, "why everything had to fall apart before it got better?" Marcus looked at her, eyes kind. "Because sometimes you have to burn the old world to see the light in the ashes." She smiled, resting a hand on her belly. Then maybe the ashes were worth it. As they walked along the path, the sounds of laughter and spring filled the air, life moving forward, as it always did. And for Lily Carter, forgiveness wasn't a gift she gave others. It was the final freedom she gave herself. The courthouse looked smaller now. Maybe it was the sunlight, or maybe Lily Carter had simply outgrown its shadow. 2 months had passed since the chaos, the trial, the press, the betrayal. And today wasn't about evidence or verdicts. It was about closure. She stood at the base of the courthouse steps, wearing a simple cream dress that swayed in the warm May breeze. In her arms, she held her newborn daughter, Grace, tiny, sleeping, unaware that her first day outside the hospital was also her mother's first day of peace. Marcus Reed appeared from the crowd, his navy suit open at the collar, coffee in one hand, a soft smile on his face. "I can't believe you actually brought her here," he said gently. "She was born in the middle of a storm," Lily said. "I want her to see where the thunder stopped." Marcus laughed, handing her the coffee. "That's poetic. You sound like your dad." She smiled faintly. "He's meeting us inside." Inside the building, the air smelled faintly of wood polish and old paper. No flashing cameras, no reporters, just a handful of people who had been there from the start. Dana Lewis, Tessa Carter, and Judge Alan Thompson. Alan stood near the bench, no longer a judge, just a man in a dark suit with tired eyes that finally looked at peace. When he saw Lily with Grace, he froze for a moment, then whispered, "She looks like your mother." Lily stepped closer, her voice soft. "Dad, meet your granddaughter." His hands trembled as he reached out to hold the baby. "Grace," he said quietly. "That's a perfect name." "It's what Mom said life gives us when we least deserve it," Lily replied. The room fell into a gentle hush as Alan cradled the child, his tears glinting in the morning light. "You know," he murmured, "I spent decades judging strangers for their mistakes. I never imagined my redemption would come from holding something so pure." Dana smiled from across the room. "That's what justice looks like, Judge. It doesn't punish, it restores." Alan chuckled softly. "Then I suppose you've both taught me more than law ever did." Tessa approached hesitantly, her voice low. "Lily, I didn't know you'd want me here." Lily turned to her, studying her face. Tessa looked smaller now, no makeup, no armor. "You testified," Lily said. "You helped make things right. That's enough." Tessa nodded, eyes brimming. "I'll spend the rest of my life trying to deserve that forgiveness." Lily touched her sister's arm. "Then start by being Grace's aunt. She's gonna need strong women around her." Tessa broke into quiet tears, nodding. Marcus cleared his throat. Okay, before we all start crying, Dana's got news. Dana smiled, holding up a document. The DA's office finalized the plea deal. Austin's company assets are being liquidated. The victims will be reimbursed. He's gone, officially. Lily felt her knees weaken, not from fear this time, but relief. It's really over. Completely, Dana said. And you're free? Lily exhaled, the air leaving her lungs like the last page of a long story. She turned to Alan. No more courtrooms, no more fighting. He smiled softly. No more hiding. They walked outside together. The sun had risen higher, spilling gold across the courthouse steps. Alan placed a gentle hand on Grace's tiny back. Marcus stood beside Lily, his arm brushing hers, silent but sure. Lily looked out over the city that had broken and rebuilt her. I thought justice would feel loud, she said, but it feels quiet. Marcus nodded. That's because you didn't win by shouting, Lily. You won by standing. She looked down at Grace, who stirred softly in her sleep. Then maybe she'll grow up knowing that strength doesn't always roar. Alan smiled, his eyes misty. And that truth doesn't always destroy, it heals. The wind carried their laughter across the courthouse square, mixing with the hum of the city that had once been cruel and now seemed to bow in gentle respect. Lily Carter had walked into this building once as a broken wife. She walked out today as a mother, a daughter, and a woman whole again. 6 months later, autumn returned to New York City. The leaves in Central Park had turned to gold and fire, drifting lazily over the quiet paths. The skyline shimmered under a pale afternoon sun, softer now, as if the city itself had exhaled. Lily Carter pushed a stroller along the winding path, her daughter Grace bundled in a pink blanket, sleeping soundly. The crisp air carried the faint smell of roasted chestnuts and distant street music. She stopped at a bench near the pond, the same spot where she had once sat months ago, terrified, wondering how she would survive. Now, she sat with peace in her chest and warmth in her arms. A shadow fell across the path. You always pick the same bench, Marcus Reed said, appearing with 2 coffees in hand. Creature of habit? Lily smiled. More like creature of healing. He sat beside her, handing over a cup. Pumpkin spice. Don't say I don't pay attention. She laughed softly. You're learning. They sat quietly for a moment, watching ducks ripple across the pond. Grace stirred slightly, her tiny fist twitching in sleep. Marcus leaned over the stroller, smiling. She's growing fast. Has her mother's stubbornness already? Lily smirked. She refused to nap unless I sang. So? Yes. They both laughed, a sound light enough to chase away the last ghosts of the past. Marcus's voice grew softer. Dana called this morning. The DA closed the last case file. Austin Hale accepted his sentence, no appeals. Lily's expression didn't change, but her shoulders eased. Then it's truly over. It's over, he confirmed. The world finally moved on. Lily gazed at the pond, the ripples catching sunlight. Funny, isn't it? Everyone said I was ruined, but all that pain, it gave me something they'll never have. Marcus tilted his head. What's that? She smiled faintly. Freedom. For a long moment they just sat, no noise, no rush, only the heartbeat of the city around them. Then Marcus said, You ever think about what's next? After all this? Lily looked up, her eyes bright. I'm writing again, a memoir maybe, not about what he did, but about what survived. My mother used to say, Tell the story so no one forgets how you got up. Marcus grinned. You'll have a bestseller. Maybe, she said softly, but I just want Grace to know her mother didn't break. The wind picked up, scattering leaves around their feet. The world felt alive again. Just then, Lily's phone buzzed. A text from Alan Thompson appeared. Dinner tonight? My treat. Bring my granddaughter, or I'll file for grandparent visitation rights. Lily laughed, showing Marcus the message. He's really leaning into retirement. Marcus chuckled. He's making up for lost time. As they rose from the bench, the late sun painted the park in amber. Lily paused, looking at the skyline stretching beyond the trees. You know, she said, when I first came to this city, I thought it would define me. Turns out, it just tested me. Marcus nodded. And you passed. She smiled, pushing the stroller forward. No, I didn't pass. I transformed. They walked together toward the street, the stroller wheels crunching over fallen leaves. Every sound, the laughter of strangers, the whistle of distant taxis, the cry of a street vendor, felt like part of a larger, living song. When they reached the edge of the park, the light shifted, brushing Lily's face in gold. She turned to Marcus. Do you ever think about the moment everything changed? he smiled gently. Yes, it was the moment you stopped letting them write your story. Lily glanced down at Grace, whose tiny fingers curled around her blanket. Then maybe this, right here, is the real ending. Marcus shook his head. No, Lily, it's the beginning you deserved. The wind carried their laughter into the city, dissolving into the hum of life. Above them, the skyline glowed against the evening sky, tall, unbroken, resilient. And for the first time, Lily Carter understood that strength wasn't in surviving the storm. It was in learning to live in the light that stayed. So, that's how the story ends. But if you're still here right now, my friend, maybe something inside this story touched you too. Not because it was dramatic, but because it was real. You see, life has a way of breaking us open just to show us what we're made of. Lily's journey isn't only about betrayal or revenge. It's about healing, about learning that peace doesn't come when the storm ends. It comes when we find stillness inside it. The Stoic said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's what Lily did. She stopped trying to change what happened and started choosing who she would be after it. Maybe that's something we all need to remember. That no matter how heavy the world gets, we can still decide how to stand, how to love, how to rebuild. If this story made you feel even a small spark of hope, don't keep it to yourself. Like, share, and subscribe. Not just to support the channel, but to remind more people out there that healing is possible. And strength is quiet, but it stays. We're all a little like Lily, learning to live in the light that remains.